because I went through the entire spiel uh, and come to find out that I wasn't on. So I am such a determined person that I've decided that I'm going to do this again. So I'm going to do the entire lesson again. Today is Saturday, February the 27th, 2016. And welcome to Lessons with Reverend Barbara on Google Hangout. Lessons are presented bi-weekly every other Saturday between the hours of 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific. In 2009, I was ordained as an interfaith, interspiritual minister. I live in the greater New York City area. From time to time, I am asked, where is your church? My ministry is an outreach ministry consisting of journal writing, writing articles, blogging. I have an internet radio station that I've had since 2006, producer and host of. So I reach out through the media and through Google Plus as well. My website address for the radio station is blogtalkradio.com/Barbara Williams. This is my small contribution by offering motivation, hope, and healing to the global community. Teaching and counseling is my passion. Thank you for supporting my work by watching my videos, listening to my bi-weekly radio lessons, as well as reading my journal articles and blog. So now let us take a moment to quiet our minds and breathe in the living, breathing source of God, knowing that there is only one power and one presence, God the good omnipotent. Breathe in God, exhale, release. Breathe in God. Exhale, release. Again, breathe in God. Exhale, release. Feel the living, loving spirit of the presence of Spirit of God moving in and through you right now. Affirmation. God's pure power is radiating from the core of my being. I am strengthened, renewed, and restored. God's pure power is radiating from the core of my being. I am strengthened, renewed, and restored. Repeat after me. God's pure power is radiating from the core of my being. I am strengthened, renewed, and restored. Say it again. God's pure power is radiating from the core of my being. I am strengthened, renewed, and restored. Breathe again. Release. Be at peace as you move back into your day. Repeat these affirmations often. Know that you are loved and all is well. Well, I'm the first to admit I messed up. From 6 until 7:15 Eastern time, I was on a roll. I was talking and talking and talking and talking. I had my little, what do you call it, slide. And I'm just talking and talking. God heard me. The source of all there is heard every word I said. However, I'm doing this again, and this time I hope it works. Cited sources. Okay, first of all, I wrote a blog, and the name of the blog is this particular one was adjustment, the law of adjustment. So if you care to, as a matter of fact, I'm going to see if I can cut and paste. It's um, HTTP. It's not a www one. HTTP forward HTTP colon // Empress Barbara MMSC blogspot.com. I am looking because I want to paste this over here. I'm going to paste it over here, and pasting is Control V. I'm using, there it is. I'm using, okay, there it is. It's HTTP / Empress Barbara MMSC blogspot.com. It was written December 7th, 2015. Yay! Okay, so that's something I know how to do. Okay, so go back over here. So that's a blog I wrote. Then I'm reading from the New Revised Standard Version, Matthew 11:28. Also, I use the cited sources. Alcoholics Anonymous is usually very free and open, even though they have copyrights, but they still are very free and open when it comes to sharing. So I took some of the, I'm citing the sources, and I did use some of AA's work. I am not up on how to share slides, but I have 19 slides here. So the second slide is the affirmation, which we just did. And the third slide is the roots of the 12-step community are metaphysical and influenced by the following men, which precede Bill Wilson and Robert Silkworth. Let me go there. And that is as follows. Okay. It began with a man by the name of Swedenborg. Some of us metaphysicians, we may have heard of Mr. Swedenborg. But anyway, let me read the step first. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Again, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Okay. It does not identify what that power is. That is an individual revelation. That is an individual inside work for the person to come to a realization of what the power that's greater than ourselves is. Now, before I move forward, I want to do something. And I did this during the last video that I tried to present. And here it is. Earlier today, before I taped the first one, I put some oil on. And the name of the oil is, can you see it? Harmony. 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 I don't know why it's backwards. Harmony. Then I am drinking tea, but I want to show you the type of tea I'm drinking. Wait. This is so good. I must show you the tea. Now, it's chamomile tea, right? But it's not the type of chamomile tea that you would buy out of a commercial market. See this? Can you see this? Can you see that? Can you see? It's bulbs. Okay, it's bulbs. So what I do is I put this in a paper coffee filter like I'm percolating coffee. And I put this much of water in the pot and I let it percolate. But the thing of it is, I let it percolate. I run it through twice. I run it through the first time, naturally. Then I run it through again because I want to make sure that I'm getting calm. So I bought this from Empire Coffee and Tea. It's in Hell's Kitchen down in the city. And you say, I don't know why everything's backwards. Anyway, it's chamomile tea. Okay, so I'm saying all of that to say, oh, and also I saged with a sage stick. Why am I going through all of this? Because it's my way of getting grounded. Okay, getting grounded and getting more in touch with my higher self. I wanted to make sure that there was no holds barred, that when I speak, I'm speaking from experience, I'm speaking from the heart, I'm speaking from life experience, and I just want to make sure that I understand what I'm saying. All right, moving briskly. Moving briskly. I'm using what's called Google. Google has Google Docs. And they also have, Google has something called Word Online. And so I was able to make PowerPoint and I was able to make this lesson. And I am grateful that I'm grateful for the resources. Microsoft, I had a 1-year subscription and it faded out before, today's Saturday and it faded out Thursday. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what do I do? Fine. So I got busy and I got resources. And so here I am, ready now to present. Okay, so we've had the meditation and I've showed you how I become centered. I've given you the step that we are using, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. The law is the law of adjustment. The Bible verse, Matthew 11, chapter 28 verse, from the New Revised Standard Version. Come to me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Come to me. Come to me, not out there. Come within. All of you, not some, not several. All of you that are tired and are carrying burdens, whatever they are. And I will give you rest. Not I might. Not I'll think about it. But I will. That is a promise. I will give you rest. I've already given you rest. But you have a choice. You come to me and I give you rest. Isn't that something? Now, when we are talking about the step 2, come to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, there are 2 key words in that step. By the way, these steps not only work for the individuals in the 12-step rooms and community, but by their very nature, they are spiritual. And as I go later into the historical overview of the how Bill and Bob came about, where they got the idea from, metaphysicians, you're going to be dumbfounded. You're going to like fall off your chair. All right. Anyway, the two key words, believe and restore. Believe means to accept something as true or genuine or real. Restore means to bring back, to, or to put into a former or original state. Do you believe that you could be restored? The roots of the 12-step community are metaphysical and influenced by the following men which precede Bill and Bob. The first one is Emmanuel Swedenborg, born 1688, made his transition 1772. Swedenborgism is the name for several historical related Christian denominations that developed as a new spiritual movement informed by the writings of Swedish scientist and theologian Emanuel Swedenborg. He was a Swedish scientist, philosopher, theologian, revelator, and mystic. He is best known for his book on the afterlife entitled Heaven and Hell, written in the year 1758. In 1741, when he was 53 years old, he entered into a spiritual phase in which he began to experience dreams and visions. This culminated in a spiritual awakening. Lock into that term, spiritual awakening, because in the recovery rooms, Bill and Bob had what they would call a spiritual awakening. Now here in 1741, Mr. Swedenborg had a spiritual awakening in which he received revelation that he was appointed by the Lord to write a doctrine, and the name of the doctrine was the Heavenly Doctrine, and his goal was to reform Christianity. Emanuel Swedenborg philosophy greatly influenced a man by the name of William James. The domino effect. Hold on. William James wrote the infamous, he wrote a lot of work, but The Will to Believe. William James, January 11th, 1842, made a transition August 26, 1910. William James was an American philosopher and psychologist who was also trained as a physician, the first educator to offer a psychology course in the United States of America. Born into a wealthy family, James was the son of a Swedenborgian theologian by the name of Henry James Sr. James wrote widely on many topics such as education, metaphysics, psychology, religion, and mysticism. Among his most influential books are the Principles of Psychology, which was a groundbreaking text in the field of psychology, which also included the then theories on mind cure. He also believed in spiritual mediums and seances. So here we have Swedenborg that was mystical and had a spiritual awakening. Now, and so then we have William James, who adopted the theories and philosophies of Swedenborg, okay, to include a theory of mind cure. Now we have the 12 steps. Step 2, coming to believe that a power greater than myself could restore us to sanity. That is mind cure. That is changing one's attitude and changing one's thought. Okay. Um, and when I'm counseling individuals, I try to keep it very remedial because because the newcomers are just coming in and they don't relate well to the big words. And they don't really need to. It's not that they don't relate to the big words, but it's about keeping it very simple. Okay, very, very simple. Okay, very basic. Came to believe that there is a power greater than themselves to restore them to sanity. Now, me personally, if I had to reword it, I would say, I believe that there is a power within me that restores me to sanity, keeps me restored, restores me to sanity. Okay. What else? William James, he has several quotations. The one I chose is, believe that life is worth living and your belief will help create the fact. If you believe that your life is worth living, if you believe that there is something that there's good for you, if you believe that life, although it's going to throw a few curveballs, that there is a home run in life for you. Okay, we don't always strike out. We don't always. It's like I use the analogy of baseball. My dad used to love baseball. You had striking out, you had ball one, two, and three, and then you had home runs, and there were other terms. So if you believe that even though you continue to strike out, eventually, when you're striking out, you're gaining experience on how to hold the bat, and also you're gaining experience with the opponent. You're watching their style, so you'll know exactly what you're dealing with. Sometimes we're so caught up into what might happen instead of really focusing on what's really going on right now. What's going on? How can I help? How can I change or modify what's going on right now? Sometimes the best way to modify for me is just say my affirmations, do the work, and back up. Because if I get too involved in it, then I will undo the good work that's trying to manifest. So believe that life is worth living. Life is worth living. And so believe that. And then your belief will help to create that fact. Because it is a fact that life is worth living. William James's work, The Will to Believe, is a lecture first published in 1896. James believed in the philosophy of believing without prior evidence. He believed in our right to adopt a believing attitude in spite of the fact that there is no evidence. So that's mind cure right there. In other words, some would say seeing is believing, or you could say believing without seeing. Believing without seeing is faith, okay? And faith without works is dead. So it's all about trusting the process. It works if you work it. If you work this process, if you work these steps, if you work these principles, if you work the traditions, trust me, and I'm a living witness. This philosophy works. And the 12-step community is not religious. I just gave you the overall historical overview of the men which preceded Bill and Bob. You got Swedenborg, who was not who was a mystic, and then you got William James. I mean, Swedenborg had his spiritual awakening. Then you got William James talking about the will to believe. No matter whatever's going on, do you have the will? Yes, we do, because it's one of our spiritual gifts. Do we have the will, and are we willing to use our gift of believing? Okay? Believing in your ability. Okay. We have the ability. Come and believe it. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. Let us explore this verse for a minute. Rest for the weary. Jeremiah 31:25. I will refresh the weary and satisfy the faint. The key words in this verse are come, all, and I, and burdened. Come. Aramaic Bible in plain English. You are, you, and you who are tormented, he shall save us by the revelation of our Lord Yeshua, the Messiah who is from heaven, with the armies of his angels. Let me read that again. And you who are tormented, he shall save us by the revelation of our Lord Yeshua, the Messiah, who is from heaven, with the army of his angels. So not only is Yeshua, not only is the anointing helping, not only is the Christ consciousness, which we have, not only is that available, but other messengers, other angels, other light beings are there and available to help us as well. Okay? So we're never alone, ever. And if you feel alone, then you must get in touch with the step, coming to believe that a power greater than yourself could restore you to sanity. Because believing that we are not alone is a sane concept. The knowing that we're not alone is a sane concept. Okay? Romans 22, correction, Romans 7th chapter, 22 verse. We're still dissecting Matthew 11. We're still we're still dissecting Matthew 11:28. So now here we are with, I just had it. Don't you just love it when this happens? All right. Anyway, okay. I'm trying to be on a roll. Matthew 11:28. Okay, rest for the weary. Okay, I read the. Don't do this to me, please. No. Romans 7th chapter, 22nd verse. And it reads as follows. For I joyfully concur with the law of God in the inner man. Listen to the words. For I joyfully concur, joyfully agree with the law of God in the inner man. So the law is within. The law of love is within. It is easy. So life is easy to, we can adjust to we can adjust, all right? Because we have the law within. We have our 12 spiritual powers, and we have the law. I mean, so when we don't use the tools, then they will become rusty. They're still there, but they need to be restored. Okay? So the law is within us. There's nothing to do but to work the law of love. Moving right along. Next word, and I. Still dealing with Matthew 11:18, and I. So this cited source is Psalm 94th verse, 13th chapter. New Living Translation, by the way. You give them relief from troubled times until a pit is dug to capture the wicked. You give them relief from troubled times. Relief from troubled times. Trouble is up here. So we need to have, I sometimes need relief from troubled times, from the overwhelming living in the race consciousness of the world. Having the committee that never shuts down, the thoughts and the news and the this and the that and the deadlines and the dates and all of this. Shut it down. Give yourself permission to drink some chamomile tea, have some harmony oil. Smells good, by the way. Okay. I also sage, but I won't go through that in here. Okay. Incense, chill. Turn everything off. Everything. Just everything. Cell phone, BlackBerry, whatever. Off. And just come into yourself and gain some relief and put everything else in the pit. Put everything in the pit. Let it go. Breathe in God. Exhale, release. Let it go. There's nothing I can do about it. When I've done everything else I can, stand. That's a song by Donnie McClurkin. After I've done all I can, I just stand. Sometimes that's all you can do after you've done everything else. Another word in Matthew 11:18, burdened. Remember that word? That are heavy, laden, and burdened? Well, the New Living Translation has a verse for that, has a parallel verse. While we live in these earthly bodies, we groan and sigh, but it's not that we want to die and to get rid of these bodies that clothe us. Rather, we want to put on our new bodies so that these dying bodies will be swallowed up by fire. Let me read it again. New Living Translation. While we live in these earthly bodies, we groan and we sigh, but it's not that we want to die and get rid of these bodies that clothe us. We don't want to get rid of the body that clothes us. We want to put on our new bodies so that these dying bodies will be swallowed up by life. We want to be restored. That is our very nature. Restoration. One of the gifts is elimination. And when we eliminate, because we don't live in a vacuum, then naturally it's regeneration, reverberation, and living, what's the next? Another gift? Life to its fullest. Now, those of us in the recovery, 12-step recovery, those of you in 12-step recovery, okay. The steps are composed of 3 primary principles. We can use these principles, carry it out into life. Those principles are honesty, be impeccable with your word, open-mindedness, don't be closed, be open, and willingness. Willing is one of the spiritual powers. See, there's no contradiction so far. The 12 traditions, because the 12-step community have traditions, and those traditions can be carried over into mainstream life. The traditions are, primary principles are desire, unity, and expression by way of action? How do we express ourselves? What can we manifest? What can we demonstrate? The 12 promises are composed of three primary principles: life, living in the now, peace, internal serenity, and the greatest of all these is love. Love. So you've got life, living in the now, you've got peace, which is internal serenity, and you've got love. Okay, those are the promises. Those are three primary principles of the promises. Okay, so now moving right along. Hope. What is hope? Hope is a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. An example is he looked through her belongings in the hope of finding some information. Questions about hope. Step 2. What does the word hope mean to you? Okay, there's no wrong answer. Think about the word hope. What does the word hope means to you? I'm sure there must be something going on in your life right now, some achievement that's going on, something that you want to achieve, a goal that you would like to see manifested. Hope. Okay, it doesn't have to mean anything else to anybody, but it means something to you. What is the difference between hope? Correction. What is the difference between belief and knowledge? Well, belief is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. The statement can be, I believe in myself. That's an affirmation. They want to say that. I believe in myself. As a matter of fact, there is a Thursday night webinar, Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, Metaphysical Bible Hangout is what it is. And her name is Reverend Sherry James. And so she says, well, what she does is she set her clock every hour on the hour, and she says affirmations 50 times. So like at 1 o'clock, the alarm rings, so she says 1 affirmation 50 times. 2 o'clock, the alarm clock rings, 50 affirmations, 1 affirmation 50 times. So for example, if you say, I believe in myself, and the time is 6 minutes after 8, I believe in myself, I believe in myself, I believe in myself. I'm not going to say it 50 times. But the philosophy and theory is when we say something over and over again, then it causes a vibration. This is what I'm taking from it. It causes a vibration. And so the universe wants to work with us. It does. It's there and available to work with us. So when we say the affirmations over and over again, then it says, okay, well, this person is believing that I'm there for her or him. So let's just get busy. So when you say I believe, when I say I believe in myself, then on some level, that's being restored to sanity. Because you're not going to believe in yourself. You cannot say, I believe in myself, but then you're not being restored to sanity. It's not. It doesn't mix. So by the way, Reverend Sherry, thank you very much for that exercise because it's working. So the difference between belief and knowledge. Belief is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. The statement can be, I believe in myself. Whereas knowledge, the practical understanding of a subject, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience, education, or both. Let me say it again. Knowledge, the practical understanding of a subject, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience, education, and or both. moving briskly. What does the power greater than myself mean? What does it mean to you? I'll give you an example. Um, this goes for the agnostics and the atheists. I've counseled hundreds since 89. I began counseling in 89 in treatment centers. And I still do it, counseling. And this is the year 2015, 2016. Oh man, I must have counseled at least, without exaggerating, I'd say a good 4,000 folk. That may not be a lot, but when you factor in the population and the type of issues that they have with the family, maybe more, I don't know. But I have counseled atheists and agnostics. And so I sit them down and they teach me actually. So I'll never forget I had this one individual. And so, there's no belief system. There's no traditional belief system. No traditional. I'll never forget it. I sat him down one day and I said, "Do you like fruit?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "What's your favorite fruit?" "Oranges and grapefruits." I said, "Okay." I said, do you think fruit has life in it?" And he thought about it for a second. I said, let's go in our minds, let's go into Publix. Publix is one of the stores, grocery stores down in Miami. I said, let's mentally walk through the produce section of Publix. And so we walked through mentally walked through and identified cantaloupe. Oh, yes, I love cantaloupe. Honeydew melons. Oh, yes, I love honeydew melons. Persimmons. No, I don't like persimmons. Tamarins. Oh, no, I don't like tamarins. Watermelon. Oh, I love watermelon. So peach. Oh, yes, we love peaches. So the power that keeps the fruit alive is a power greater than him. So he could relate to the fruit. Okay? And coming out of Florida, we got oranges growing all over the place. So to look up at a tree with oranges, or to look over and see a banana tree or a mango tree, I mean, that's fruit. So somewhere in the mix, there's roots, and the roots that are flourishing, coming up, springing forth energy up from the roots, up to the palms, up the branches, into filtering and feeding the fruit to make the fruit nice and succulent. That is a power greater than him. He could relate to that. There is no traditional spiritual practice. Whatever works for you, work it because it works. It works when you work it. So work it. You're worth it. Okay? So that's what the power greater than you means. It simply means it is a belief system that is functional and that I'm able to demonstrate, and I'm able to become calm, and I'm able to succeed in remaining calm because I believe within my soul that there is a power that is greater than I, or a power that lives within that is keeping me sane. Now, what does the term insanity mean? It's my understanding that that word is a legal term. But just for the sake of this lesson, what does the term insanity mean to you? So I have words like ridiculous, bizarre, illogical, and outrageous. I used the analogy earlier on of when I thought I was being taped and I wasn't. I used the analogy of When you get off of the train here when you take the train, Metro North, and go down to the city, and when the shuttle train is not working, then we're all rerouted going to take the 7 train. Well, on a Sunday, it is ridiculous because it is an obstacle course leaving from the main Grand Central Terminal to hang that left and then go hang another right and then go down to the um, first level of the tunnel and then swipe and then hang a right. Then you'll see 2 signs which read 7. 2. One sign will have a U-turn, which means that's not the way to the 7 train. Why that sign's there, I don't know. So that is ridiculous. So then it takes you, so then you ask someone, if you don't know, where do you take the 7 train? So then they'll point. Very seldom with a New Yorker, like, say something, they'll point. So when they're pointing, you've got different arteries. So because I'm aware because I'm aware now, I know what artery to take. So it's bizarre that you have to walk all the way down that hall. Then you have to take the escalator and go down 3 flights. You're in the tunnel now. You go 3 flights down in the tunnel, the escalator, okay? Flights. Then you wait on the 7 train. What's illogical is the S train will take you all the way there to Times Square where you can transfer anywhere you want to go. So it's outrageous that on Sunday they have that 7 train, they have the S train shut down on a weekend when everybody's out, but then it's always busy. And we have to end up taking the 7 train. So that's ridiculous. That's bizarre. That's illogical, and it is outrageous. But I find it very curious that the S train is usually out of order on Sunday. I find that very curious. That's okay. Because the good news is it helps me to orient myself more so to the city. Next question. What would it mean to you to be restored to sanity? Well, to bring back my power, to not be upset because the S train's not working, to say to myself the good news and the learning experience of the 7 train is knowing that once I get off of the 7 train, it's not going to put me at the same stop where the S train puts me. It's going to put me at another stop inside the same terminal where the S will take. But because that terminal at Times Square is so vast, then one has to meander their way another 4 floors down. So that Times Square terminal is deep. It goes down. It's deep. So the experience, the continued experience of going through it. In other words, if I continue to take that S train, then I'll become complacent. But the more I take that 7 train, which is much more intricate, then I'm learning more about other aspects of that tunnel, as well as that it also has an offshoot to go to the Port Authority, which I didn't know. All right, so restored to sanity reinstates. It returns me to my power, which is one of my 12 gifts. It's restored. Okay, what kind of power does it take to be restored to sanity? It takes the ability to balance wisdom with understanding. to balance wisdom and understanding. The law of adjustment, the law of adjustment, which is the ego, is nothing but a great part of an illusion in our life. Ego action can leave emotional wounds that must be healed. And in forgiving myself, I am simply calling the energy of correction or the law of adjustment to transmute the old erroneous patterns and eliminate the ghosts of another time. What is a ghost? Well, what I have here is we are sometimes haunted by the thoughts of, I don't deserve this because of what I did, what I've done or didn't do. There's a lot in my life that I've done, and there's a lot in my life that I did not do. I have two choices. I could sit back and hold on to guilt and shame and woe is me, or I could, I've learned my lessons from it. I can help other people that are going through it and let them know, hey, you're going to be restored to sanity. You work on whatever it is you need to work on, let it go, and move on and be about the business of helping someone else that's stuck. I used to call it stuck on stupid, but it's not stuck on stupid. It's just stuck. So you become unstuck by coming to believe that there is a power that's going to help you to become unstuck. It can be difficult to see the here and now when we allow the phantoms of the past to become the power that is greater than ourselves. Again, it can be difficult to remain in the here and now when we allow the phantoms of the past to become the power that is greater than ourselves. I have a story here about Rip Van Winkle. Excuse me. Rip Van Winkle. The story is set in upstate New York near the Catskills. Van Winkle wanders up the mountains with his dog, and his dog's name is Wolf. Hearing his name called out, Rip sees a man wearing antiquated Dutch clothing. That should have been his first heads up, because why was the man wearing period clothes? Okay, the man was wearing clothes that were centuries old. Okay, just hear the story. So Rip sees a man wearing antiquated Dutch clothing. The man is carrying a keg of moonshine up the mountain, and he solicits Rip to help him. Together they proceed. Finally, the two stop. They begin drinking the moonshine, and Rip falls asleep. He awakes to discover the shocking changes. His firearm, his musket, is rotted and rusty. His beard is a foot long, and his dog is nowhere to be found. Van Winkle returns to his village where he recognizes no one. He discovers that his wife has made her transition and that his longtime friends are gone. He recognizes no one. And those that are still alive have moved far away. Rip Van Winkle is also disturbed to find another man with the same name, Rip Van Winkle. That man is his son. He also has a daughter that has all grown up. Rip Van Winkle learns that the men he met in the mountains are rumored to be ghosts of Henry Hudson's crew. I live 10 blocks from the Henry Hudson River. Some of you may have heard of the Hudson River. I live 10 blocks from there. I live on the 8th floor, and I can literally see the Hudson River. And so they were ghosts of a crew that had vanished a long time ago. Rip learns that his village that he has been asleep and or away for 20 years. There is an old resident there that recognizes him and confirmed to his daughter that yes, that is your father. The thing about Rip Van, this story is before Rip Van Winkle drank that moonshine, he had an idle life. While he was asleep, he was idle. When he woke up, he was idle. He was never restored. Well, one could say he was not restored to an active life, but then he never had an active life in the first place. His life was resumed. Okay, he resumed his life, but restored, that's debatable. Okay, moving briskly. I still have some more material too. Okay, Matthew 11:28, New Revised Standard Version. Come to me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens. I will give you rest. Okay. What is going on in your life that has you burdened? Is anything going on in your life that has you burdened? Is it health, money, employment? Is it growing your business, wanting to complete your education so as to compete for another position or growing personally, personal growth? A friend of mine has a daughter, and she was incarcerated for a very long time. So the friend asked me, I'm counseling the mother. So she says, well, the daughter doesn't live with her. She is in a place where the daughter is getting all of her needs met, and she's acclimating back into society. So she asked me because the mother wants her daughter to do the right thing. So I said, all you could really do besides pray for your daughter is to be a listening ear and to let your daughter know that you are there for her unconditionally. You cannot live your daughter's life. You cannot live your life through your daughter. You did the best you could with what you have. You did the best you could with what you had. Okay? You let your daughter know that you're there for her. Let her know that there are programs available. Prison does not uh, open up the door to the possibility that there's a life. Prison is not set up that way. I've never been to prison, and I don't ever remember visiting one. But I've talked to a lot of individuals that have been in prison, and the way I'm hearing it from different sources that do not know each other, that it's really not set up to be rehabilitated. So what she could also do, my friend, is to point her daughter in the right direction and be of help to her. Moving right along. The second step points us in the direction that we must go to keep that fragile hope alive and let it grow. It describes a process that we've already experienced to some extent, the process of coming to believe. That sparked our first bit of hope. The process not only begins with that hope, but it also offers the means of acting on that hope to fulfill hope and to make hope real. I want to get to the part about the movie. That is so awesome. No one can force us to believe. No one. We can't even force ourselves to believe. Belief is a state of mind. And coming to believe is a process of changing this state of mind from unbelief to belief. This can happen only if we first open our minds to the possibility of change by witnessing change in others who are like us. we usually come to believe that change is possible for the better. There are two, there are two obstacles which often hinder this process. The first is a closed mind that is closed to the possibility that there is a power greater than us. The second obstacle is reluctance or unwillingness to admit that we do need to be restored to sanity. Okay? The good news of step two is, as with all of the steps, that we don't have to figure it all out at once. Okay? We start out a little bit at a time, and we do the best we can. Now, what I want to do is get to I'm finally there, to the movie. The movie Shawshank Redemption. I used to show this movie at so many treatment centers. It is not funny. The movie came out in 1994. That just lets you know how long I've been counseling. The movie Shawshank Redemption reveals a perfect example of hope being a power greater than oneself. And Reverend Sherry, you must show me how I can show a video and share slides. You got to show me. Andy Dufresne, played by Ellis Redding, who crawled through a river of manure and came out on the other side. How many of us are crawling through the river of manure? Crawling through the river of manure. I'm not crawling through any river of manure. But some of us may know somebody that are crawling through the river of manure to try to get to the other side. And if you saw that movie was awesome. The movie Shawshank Redemption, the character Red, played by Morgan Freeman, was serving a life sentence with a possibility of parole. Ellis Redding played the role of Andy Dufresne, an innocent man incarcerated in Shawshank Penitentiary. From time to time, Andy would use the word hope. Red once told Andy, "Let me tell you something, my friend. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane." Andy said, "Fear can hold you prisoner. Hope can set you free." Andy Dufresne's philosophy was that hope is a good thing, and that no good thing ever dies. Andy Dufresne also stated, there is something inside that they cannot get into, that they cannot touch. That's yours, and that is hope. Andy came to believe in hope. He did not believe in confinement, and that his world would be restored. He took matters into his own hands. The power Andy held onto was hope. Andy released himself from the confinement. He imagined himself free and imagined being birthed anew. The closing scene in the movie was Andy was restoring an old boat, Red walking along the shore of Zihuatanejo, which loosely translated means white sands. And if you saw the movie, you can envision Morgan Freeman walking with his pants leg rolled up in a white shirt and a suitcase and whatnot, and the sands were white. If you or you know someone that is living a life of confinement, you must become free. You must eat, breathe, live, walk, talk, think, visualize freedom. You must use your spiritual gift of imagination. What is freedom? Freedom is the power to think, speak, or act as one wants to without hindrance or restraint. Freedom is sanity. The lack of hope is a hindrance to the development of emotional, spiritual, and mental maturity. Only you can determine what a power greater than you means to you. When you have a belief, then you can tap into your power to restore you and your life. You must believe you deserve to be free, that no human power can set you free. You alone must go and engage in your spiritual practice, surrender, and know with certainty that you deserve what life has to offer. The following is a quotation narrated by Morgan Freeman. The character he played was Red, and this was toward the end of the movie. And if you saw the movie, he was sitting in the back of the bus and there was a narration. Quote, I find I'm so excited that I can barely sit still or hold a thought in my head. I think it's the excitement only a free man can feel. A free man at the start of a long journey whose conclusion is uncertain. I hope I can make it across the border. I hope to see my friend and shake his hand. I hope the Pacific is as big as it has been in my dreams. I hope. Although Red was tired, yet the power of hope kept him alive. Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who labor and are forced to bear burdens, and I will give you rest. Red and Andy were both forced to bear burdens. Confinement. Red bore burdens of losing his youth, no social skills, being continuously rejected by the parole board. There was a point in the movie where Red said, in here, I'm somebody. I can get you anything. But out there, I'm nobody. But Dufresne could not rest until he was free, and Red was willing to give hope a try. Both men came to believe that the power of hope would restore their lives, built on the principle of hope. I think that I am done with this. Oh, other powers, such as for individuals that, well, there are individuals that believe in angels. Okay. So a power greater than oneself could be angels. Angels are also assigned to us. How many angels are there? Innumerable. There are too many angels to count. Other powers that spiritual practice of one could engage in is acknowledging the sun or the moon or the stars. Okay. I think I've got it all. So let me move over to the slides before I get into any questions. Just one more thing I need to do. One more thing. And then this is really fun, actually. This is a lot of fun. I can't believe that I did this all by myself. Okay, so it's done. So are there any questions at all? Oh, you should see my little PowerPoints. I'm so proud of my little PowerPoints. I'm told there's a lot of individuals that do not know how to put together a PowerPoint. All right, so I broke down Matthew 11:28. Come, rest for the weary and satisfy the faint. That's from Jeremiah 31:25. The word all from Romans 7th chapter 22nd verse. All, for I joyfully concur with the law of God in the inner. For I joyfully concur with the law of God in the inner man. Psalm 94:13. And I, because that's what's in Matthew 11:18. You give them relief from troubled times until a pit is dug to capture the wicked. Okay. Jeremiah, I will refresh the weary and satisfy the faint. Jeremiah 31:25. Romans 7:22. For I joyfully concur with the law of God in the inner man. That is my favorite. Because the Bible even acknowledges that God is within us. God is everywhere. There is no separation. What is this here? Okay. We need an attitude adjustment. Okay. From disbelief to belief. From disbelief to belief. All right. Oh, I love this slide. I wish you all could see this slide. I love it. It's adjusting. What it is it's a picture. It's a picture of a globe, and there are two beings, and there's a light out in the galaxy. I wish I could. Somebody show me how to do this. Anyway, call to action. Hello. Hello. Call to action. Every day for the next 21 days, spend some time reviewing that particular day's experiences. Find something to be hopeful about each and every day. Call to action number 2, create a hope journal. Create a hope journal. Identify the quality of the relationship you would want to have with your higher power. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? I've already had the call to action. By the time you get around to watching this, you can always leave your comments at the bottom of the. This is going to be on YouTube, so you simply leave your comments in the YouTube section. They have a comment section. Okay. And having all of that said, I want to thank God for the opportunity to present this lesson. I've only worked on it for 2 weeks with the research and my little pictures. I'm so proud of my little pictures. But I must learn how to share it. Anyway, having all of that said, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the very presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are. Wherever we are, God is. This is so, and so it is. Namaste. Bye-bye.